Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this in the world. I hope you guys are doing okay. So Tekken 8 has been going through a bit of a rough patch for quite some time now, and for a while I believed Heihachi was going to solve that issue. But after watching the Tekken talk, I think I've changed my mind, and I think a lot of other people have changed their mind having seen what Heihachi is capable of, because it is not good. Now I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm a little bit worried for Tekken's future because we've got at least 5 more years of support of this game, give or take, and given what we just saw from the Tekken talk, they may be entering uncharted territory and a point of no return. We'll get to Heihachi in a little bit because he's the latest potential problem with the game, but first we need to look at what's happening right now, and right now things do not look good. Some of the most established players as well as content creators in the Tekkenverse are tapping out of the game. Their frustrations with the game have hit a boiling point. I pulled these screenshots from Moonsault Slayer's page because I wanted to weigh in on a couple of things regarding the feelings people have towards Tekken. You've got Edge here saying, I want to keep playing Horang in rank matches, but I don't have any more goals. I hope there's some new content, and you have I'm Musician also saying me too. Even though Tekken 7 had a similar number of ranked titles, people are quitting ranked in Tekken 8 when they hit the top rank because they don't feel like there's anything left to do. They don't feel incentivized to play. Essentially, they find it boring. In Tekken 7, you could play death matches, which I know was very popular amongst content creators. You could really make some cool content out of that, but with ranked in its current state, you're just constantly being flung into different matches over and over again, and it's exhausting. Because of the nature of Tekken 8, you don't really get to learn about the player because their heat system dominates most of the match, which really destroys the overall quality of your ranked experience. Why would anyone want to play a ranked mode where you can't actually sit and learn things properly or produce exciting content when there's not even any more titles to fight for? There's no real incentive, there's nothing for me to put on my YouTube channel, there's nothing for me to learn here in a very quick period of time, so why would I keep playing it? Arsenal tweeted out saying, I've tried as much as I can to like Tekken 8 and I just can't find a way to do it. I'm going to try different characters because I'm not ready to let go yet. And this should really be a wake up call to the Tekken team and Harada. Arsenal is a great example for this. Now Arsenal has been producing high tier content exclusively for Tekken on YouTube for 9 years, as well as going to tournaments. He's been doing that consistently and he has amassed 110,000 subscribers in that time. When you watch his content before Tekken 8 came out, you can see the love for the series in both his gameplay and the edits, and he hasn't posted for about 6 months now. I don't think the reason for him saying he's not ready to let go is solely down to his content creation journey being halted by this frustrating game. I think it's because Tekken carries over so much legacy knowledge and skill. It requires so much time for you to invest because it's such a demanding series that it probably is difficult for veteran players of the franchise to just tap out. After all of that time and energy put in, going to another fighting game is going to sting. Ultimately, that is probably what's going to happen, because the direction Tekken is going in, I don't think a lot of the OGs are going to stick around. Whilst I'm not there yet, I have to be honest and say that my time spent playing Tekken has decreased dramatically from 7, and you guys can probably tell in my videos. Initially, when you were coming here and you were hearing my voice, it was over Tekken gameplay like you're seeing now, but more and more you're seeing my face, you're seeing other games, and you're seeing me do other types of live streams, and that is because there is only so much of Tekken 8 that I can take. I do still enjoy the game, but I enjoy it in small doses. I don't think I can play it the way I was playing Tekken 7. Aside from being an adult and having to get on with life, when I do have time to dedicate to Tekken, more often than not, I'm looking at other games now. I would say I probably play ranked about 30 minutes every other day just to maintain my current skill level, and then whenever I'm streaming with the community on the weekends, but outside of that I'm playing other games. And that's because ranked has become unrewarding, frustrating, and just messy altogether, and there's not much for me to gain there. They added online practice so we can refine our 50-50s and guessing skills together as a community. Someone tell the Tekken team that not every DLC character needs to be an install character with a powered up state. Why do we get mad at ranked matches? It's all imaginary internet points at the end of the day. Is it ego? So I'm going to try to answer all 3 of those tweets. So the first part of this screenshot is very telling. Credit where credit is due. The Tekken team have made quality of life changes and added features to Tekken 8 at no extra charge that are good, like online practice and a replay feature in ranked, which is something I have been asking for this entire year. That's great. The problem is that even though we have that online practice mode, it doesn't change the fact that the new battle system forces you to block certain things without any counterplay, which is not good for Tekken and takes away from its identity. The heat mechanic forces way too many situations, and when players can't find ways out because there literally isn't any, why would would they want to sit in an online practice mode? We already know you can't do anything about said situation, so why am I here wasting my time? The second part of that screenshot refers to Eddie, Lydia and Heihachi. So let's talk about Heihachi and why his inclusion has become a hot topic since the Tekken talk. It's not because he survived a death blow from Kazuya anymore, although I'm pretty sure people still want to know what the hell is going on there. It's because he's come back completely different and much easier, and much easier is the key point you need to focus on here. They even mentioned in the Tekken talk that he is much more simple for players to use now, which is a huge problem because A, he is a Mishima and simplifying Mishimas is not a good idea. Why? Because Mishimas have extremely powerful tools that are kept in check by their difficulty to access them consistently. The reason that we would go to Main Man's channel and we would marvel at his gameplay is because doing the combos that he has done historically is not easy to do. I can tell you as somebody that has been playing Tekken for a very long time, I still struggle to do electric wind god fist combos correctly and wave dash around the screen the way he does. The reason people get so hyped when they see Mishima players doing these things in tournament is because they are so difficult. If you lower the skill ceiling, the mystique gets taken away from the character. So that's all gone with Heihachi. A monkey could do his combos now. So for the Heihachi loyalists out there, it takes away the fun of creating unique playing styles, and for the people going up against Heihachi, it creates a frustrating experience because his moveset is overpowered and holds the player's hand way too much. Now you might be saying I'm jumping the gun, he's not out for another 3 to 4 days, Mike. I think it was very obvious to see what is going on. Everybody reacted the exact same way when they saw Heihachi's gameplay. And this is when people start to feel cheated and turn the game off. Heihachi Mishima is not playing Tekken anymore, he's playing Sparking Zero. I was looking at a Dragon Ball character when they were showing him off. The character looks absolutely absurd, and whilst the animations on his attacks are beautiful, the new stage they made for him is gorgeous, as well as the music being incredible, which is very normal for Tekken. They have the best music in the fighting game genre. At the end of the day, after all of that initial hype has died down, we have to deal with this Super Saiyan Mishima on ranked, and I don't think people want to put up with another year of Dragunov style shenanigans where you constantly feel cheated. Why does he have an install feature? Why do all of them have install features? What is this obsession with stance characters and installs? I don't know about you guys, but I am not looking forward to facing powerful Heihachi players. The dumbing down of these characters needs to stop. The Tekken team, in my opinion, have lost the plot. Eddie Gordo was already super popular amongst casuals. There was no need to give him a one button spammable move. Casuals were already playing him, he was already their champion. To me, this was a tone deaf change that ultimately changed nothing in player retention and just served to irritate the pre-existing fan base that was already going to stick with your game anyway. I say that, but I don't actually know how things are going to go anymore. I am not confident that these guys are going to stick around. And the last part of that screenshot about ranked and why we get mad at it, it's because it feels like our time is being wasted, and that's why people have turned it off. That's why I've turned it off. It's not about losing. Losing on its own is fine. That's how you get better. You're never going to get better by just constantly winning. The problem is in this game is how you lose and the punishment that follows that. Losing to a forced 50-50 and then losing 700 points is not gonna make people want to play your game. If I lose to a situation that I could have read better and actually done something about, then the 700 points is warranted and it's fine. I'll earn them back. But when I'm put in a situation where I actually can't press any buttons and I have to take what they're doing and then you take my points from me as well and you take a lot of points, why would I want to play it? I'm good. I'm not learning anything. I'm not getting a chance to explore my opponent's fighting style and come up with counterplay. I leave that match as fast as I enter and now I'm 700 points down, 1400 points if the set is finished. I'm good. If I lost those points over a period of time, in a set it's whatever, no problem. But these matches are like a flash in the pan and you don't get to see who's truly better overall, just who was the quickest to the draw. It's almost like an old western when they have their shoot-offs. It feels like too much chance is involved and players don't like that when there's too much randomness going on. I believe it will be harder and harder for the semi-pro to find enjoyment in Tekken 8. Semi-pro, the guys who travel to the tournaments by themselves and can dedicate to the game 3/4 an hour a day. The game is too hard to control if you don't put 8 to 10 hours per day. That's at least my feeling. People shitting on Tekken 8's design philosophy really out here forgetting how stale Tekken 7 got by the end. Tekken 8 is miles and miles ahead of where Tekken 7 was at this point in its life cycle. Tekken 5 is like 100 times more fun than Tekken 8 for me. I love the neutral on that game and no rage/heat or or anything like that, simple yet fun. So to start with, you will not catch me traveling all over the world for Tekken. There may be a few places here and there that I'll go and play the game, but they're going to be somewhat local. There's too much randomness in this game for me to dedicate money and time to it. Even the top players who dedicate 8 to 10 hours a day have shared the same sentiment. The foundation is too shaky. Now I don't agree with the way this person is looking at it when they're talking about Tekken 7 and its staleness. After every release of a game, the franchise should be growing and evolving beyond what it used to be at its final point. It's no good saying that it's miles better at this point than when Tekken 7 was here, because it should really be miles better than Tekken 7 was at the close of its life cycle. Now maybe you think that's the case. I personally don't. I think Tekken 7 was much more rewarding. I felt more in control of what I was doing, and I didn't get as frustrated when I'd lose because I knew it was mostly a skill issue. Losing to a forced 50-50 is not a skill issue no matter what anyone says. That is a coin flip situation, and in a game that built its legacy off being one of the most hardcore fighters that relies on raw skill and knowledge, that shit is extremely off-putting. You undermine the work of your veterans, you embolden the casuals because they think they did some shit, only for them to realize that people can do it right back to them. The difference here is that the casuals aren't going to stick around because they're a casual. They're not invested. They don't care that much. However, your veteran players are the ones that are going to stick around. The veteran will be here to support your game, except that might also change because you're also cheating them. It's the Arsenalties, the main mans, the King Jays, the Tendos, the upload content that entices the casuals to lock in and turn into a more hardcore player. But when you turn those guys off the game, who's going to do the word of mouth marketing for you? The reason why people still find Tekken 5 or Tekken 7 so much fun is because those games felt like they hit a sweet spot at the time. Tekken 5 fixed the broken walls of Tekken 4 and generally the broken characters of Tekken 4, which ended up creating this very rich and honest experience, as honest as you can get in a Tekken game. Tekken 5 is the foundation that all Tekken games following it have been built on. Tekken 7 felt like it got it about as right as you could for a modern Tekken game because Tekken Tag 2 was too difficult for people to get into. And whilst it's my favourite Tekken personally, I can definitely see why it turned people off. That game was extremely fun for veterans of the series, at least in my experience, but man, that shit was rough at times. Tekken 7 took that high octane gameplay and dialed it down a bit, whilst implementing mechanics that helped players not feel helpless, while simultaneously not pissing off their pre-existing base, and look what happened. Tekken 7 became the most successful Tekken of all time. Whilst Tekken 8 is still new in comparison, I don't think it's going to reach the level of success that Tekken 7 did, and I think that may be why we haven't seen any sales figures released. Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter were very quick to let us know when they exceeded 4 million units sold, but Tekken has suspiciously remained quiet, despite being quick to tell us that it sold 2 million copies in 1 month. Tekken 8 went too far in the other direction. Where Tekken Tag 2 might be considered to be way too difficult to get into, Tekken 8 has become way too simplified to seek enjoyment in. The pendulum has swung way too far in the other direction. Everyone is slowly quitting Tekken 8 it seems, and they're not lying. If you look at the player retention, it is getting worse and worse. There is going to be a momentary spike when Heihachi comes out, especially because we're getting a free story update and everyone wants to know how this man survived. But once people get a taste of what Heihachi is capable of and then have to deal with him, I can't see them sticking around. I took one look at what they were demonstrating in the Tekken talk and I said, yeah, Tekken 8 has a serious problem and I don't think the devs realize it. I really have to know why the Tekken team is so weird about plugging. If they plug, give me the win and give them the loss. Why is this so difficult to figure out for them? Like seriously, I need to know the answer. And then Blackheart says, I'm honestly worried about Tekken 8's future. This is another issue. The Tekken team have been adamant in ignoring the wants and needs of its players when it comes to the ranked system. You guys know how vocal I've been about Tekken 8's ranked infrastructure and how it handles plugging despite the videos getting a lot of views, despite the conversation being drummed up on Twitter, despite other content creators and players voicing their opinions. We've gotten absolutely nothing from the developers, almost like they have no intelligent retort. They've spent more time updating that stupid store with their dumb monetization practices than actually addressing player issues like the way ranked is being handled. Harada, no disrespect, but if you were worried about the integrity of your ranked mode because of boosting, I'm gonna need you to look around you for a second. Do you think it's better to keep this fake integrity you're so worried about when there's nobody to partake in your ranked mode? Wouldn't you rather have players left playing the game instead of holding onto this redundant notion that it's not good for ranked? I'm sorry, but we are way into the first year of this game and the sentiments we felt in month 1 are being felt today. People don't want their time wasted. Will there be cheaters if this is implemented? Of course. Will Will there be boosters? Most certainly. Am I at the point of not caring anymore? Yes. I don't care. That is your problem. I just don't want my time wasted. I don't care if they sit at the top of the leaderboard because you guys have been very consistent in banning accounts that partake in malicious behavior, so just continue doing that. Why waste the players' time? You can either hear the pleas of your players or you can lose them forever. It's really that simple. Tekken isn't the only game in town, and whilst I am not at the end of my road with the game yet, I know many others are, and there are other games to play. Street Fighter 6 is doing a fantastic job. Sparking Zero looks fantastic as long as the online holds up. Hell, you might just lose people to a whole other genre at this point. Tekken 8 is just getting worse and worse. It doesn't matter how good you are at Tekken anymore, just guess right and you win no matter how bad you are. Now that's not entirely true obviously, and that is why we have people sitting in certain ranks, but there's an element of truth there and I get where the frustration is coming from. There has always been an element of guessing in Tekken. It's a fighting game, so of course a lot of the game is centered around making the right call, but the difference is that back then you'd evaluate your opponent's playing style and their tendencies and respond accordingly. Now you'll evaluate what your opponent wants to do and you'll stand still if you know what's good for you, because if you move you're going to die. Essentially what I'm saying is that the heat system has become Tekken. It's not a funny little gimmick that causes minor inconveniences to the player, it is the entire game, it is the decider. Long story short, heat was a mistake. It hurts player expression, it hurt the integrity of the fight, and it hurt the overall identity of the game. I've been playing Tekken since Tekken 1 and I can confidently say that this is one of the least serious Tekken games, only beaten by Tekken Revolution. Now there are ways to fix this and I know the Tekken team can fix it because they've demonstrated the capacity to change the heat system multiple times based on feedback. Stop giving people heat in every round. Let them earn it back once they've used it. If you want to give it to people at the beginning of the first round, fine. But once they pop it, they need to earn it back, and there should be requirements for earning it back considering how powerful it is. Stop keeping the damage on the heat burst the same despite the bar almost being depleted. Stop giving people rage arts every round. A rage system per round is enough. It does enough damage. We don't need a super move every single round to go with it, one that we didn't even earn. Let people play Tekken. You're packing on way too much anime shit and that halts the development of the game. You used to get frustrated on Tekken for the right reasons. Now we're getting frustrated on Tekken because we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It used to be about understanding that you're not good enough to beat your opponent, and the frustration of not being good enough would drive us to practice and overcome. Now it is frustration born of the fact that there is no alternative route. This is the path laid out for me and I have to accept it. When you limit someone's options like this, you also decrease the amount of fucks they have to give. Tekken allowed you to do so much before and now it locks you in place, and people don't like it and you need to change it. And it all comes down to these panels here at the end, which again have been pulled from Moonslot Sayer's channel, and I want you guys to pay attention what they're saying here. In a good way, Tekken 8 allows players to defeat higher ranked players with powerful moves, but for younger players and those currently playing, it boosts their motivation, so I think it's a good system. They can overthrow higher ranked opponents. Look around you, Tekken team. The younger players aren't here. The numbers you thought that were going to be here are not here. They're over on Street Fighter, or worse, they've just left the fighting game genre altogether. Tekken 7 sold like crazy because it retained its hardcore elements whilst making things easy enough to not rock the boat. You didn't just rock the boat with Tekken 8, you tipped the boat over on its head, and now your men are screaming man overboard and your men are the players and you're not paying attention to them. You forgot about what made this series so popular in the first place and you catered to a crowd that was never going to stick around. Yes, you lowered the skill ceiling so it was easier to get into, but you made it unfun in the process so nobody wanted to stick around. Tekken 7 let those new players in and it kept them around when they realized that they could become more. On the contrary, Tekken 8 gives them exactly what they need within a week, and then even they realize that it's boring. You see, developers seem to think that casual players are stupid. Casual does not mean that you are stupid, and that is what the developers don't get. Casual players still want depth. They still need that extra layer. Why do you think the Souls games are so well received? There's a lot of casuals that play those games, but there is enough there that makes people want to come back. Now, I can admit, in fighting games, sometimes you need to give a casual player a little nudge because they can be overwhelming. But you didn't just nudge them, you Spartan kicked them over the finish line. And for all of those people that get upset that people are so critical of these games nowadays, I'm sorry, but I nor the Tekken community are sheep, and I'm not going to bow my head and just accept whatever a developer gives us. us. One of the greatest things the internet has afforded us is the ability to connect and communicate our ideas, and that's what I plan on doing. That's why we get these user suggested changes implemented into the game, and that is how we advocate for change in our favorite games. Why do you think Sparking Zero is being so positively received by the community? It's because Jun Furutani has listened to the community, and the community can see that and they're happy about that. He is listening to the changes that they're asking for because they're well thought out and understandable changes, and he's making them. It is good to communicate with these developers. I'm not saying you have to attack them, and I don't feel like I have attacked these developers, but they need to hear what the Tekken players are saying. If you like Tekken the way it is, then I don't even know why you're here or paying attention to this discourse. Enjoy the game. This is hopefully for the developers to listen to and to push other players to give suggestions or vent their frustrations. There's always going to be those that say get good as a response to anything, and whilst that is true in some cases, it doesn't work for everything. Sometimes developers need to wake up and take a look around them. Now I'd like to know what you guys think about all of this. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Once again, thank you for all the love, and I'll see you guys very soon. Take care and peace.